Welcome to the first episode of On the Right Track. Here, I'll be taking a look at the stats, features and models of the Church of Steel entries for Wrath and Glory. I won't deep dive into the vehicle mechanics too much in this mini-series, mainly because I plan on doing a full video on vehicles and the mechanics of the Church of Steel offers us in the future, but for now, let's take a look at the Adepta Sororitas vehicles. Some of the vehicle entries offer special rules for the faction that they hail from, and the Adepta Sororitas vehicle rules are no exception. Take the current wording with a pinch of salt, as I expect them to be reworded correctly in a future update and before printing. Currently as it stands, it states that Adepta's Ministorum vehicles have a number of faith points stored within it equal to the tier of the game for the players to use for their own faith talents. I fully expect this in future to include the word Adepta Sororitas, considering that they are both the ones who own the vehicles and the ones who can cast faith talents. As it stands now, the Adepta Sororitas vehicles do not have the Adeptus Ministorum keyword either. This rule is great. It allows you to use one of many faith talents to aid or even heal your party, depending on what talent you selected on the character creation. First up is the Castigator. You'll notice with this tank and the rest that the Sisters tanks are all built on the good old reliable Rhino chassis. The Castigator is the newest entry in the Sisters tank arsenal and comes with two very powerful Castigator autocannons, a smoke launcher and 3 heavy bolters. It's no surprise that this variant has a rarity of rare and a value of 14. It also has the options to replace both Castigator autocannons for a single Castigator battle cannon and can be upgraded with a Hunter Killer missile and a Stormbolter 2. Castigator comes with 2 Castigator autocannons, both of which have a very solid strength, but a middling range compared to the other Castigator loadout. The Castigator battle cannon has 2 modes of fire, Pyre and Sanctified. Pyre offers less straight damage and less armour penetration, but a larger blast radius and therefore more effective against mobs. The other, the Sanctified option, offers more brute strength and armour penetration at the cost of less explosive blast radius and would be better against a single large foe. You can choose either of these shell options before you fire. The downside of this loadout is it's very rare. Should you even be lucky enough to find a Castigator, the chances are even less likely you would find one with this loadout. The Exorcist, the organ on tracks. This beautiful centrepiece of a tank has the Exorcist missile launcher on its back, stylised to look like a pipe organ. Once again, this is a Rhino chassis conversion, and it's also considered a rarity on the battlefield and has a value of 14. It's armed as standard with an Exorcist missile launcher, smoke launcher and a heavy bolter. The Exorcist missile launcher can also be swapped out for its counterpart, the Conflagration rocket, and can also be upgraded with a Hunter Killer missile. The Exorcist has 2 main loadouts. The first, the Exorcist missile launcher, is slightly stronger against single foes, and the second option, the Conflagration rocket launcher, is designed more towards mobs. These are both very rare pieces of equipment. The Immolator. The Immolator is a Rhino chassis fitted with large twin flamers that spew holy flame and fury into foes on the battlefield. The fuel tank is actually fairly small, meaning that it can also reliably hold 6 passengers in the back, instead of the usual 10 that a Rhino can support. This model is also rare and has a value of 14. The Immolator is equipped with a smoke launcher, heavy bolter and 2 immolation flamers, the latter of which can be replaced with a twin multi-melter or twin heavy bolter. It too, like its cousins, can be upgraded to carry a Hunter Killer missile. The 2 immolation flamers found on the top are exclusive to the Adepta Sororitas tanks and are excellent mob clearers. The Repressor, a rare model and tank rules-wise, is a Rhino chassis with a dozer ram fitted to the front of it and a flamer on the top. Interesting to note that the rules stipulate that the ram can only be outfitted to a Raider, but here we see it on a Rhino chassis. This model has 3 firing points along its left and right sides, allowing up to 3 passengers to fire personal weapons that don't have the heavy trait. This model is armed with a Repressor heavy flamer, a smoke launcher, a Stormbolter and a dozer ram. It can also be upgraded to carry a Hunter Killer missile. The flamers on this tank aren't amazing and act more as a deterrent more than anything. They will definitely clear the chaff from your path, accompanied by the dozer ram and the passengers laying down heavy fire from within. The Dozer Ram offers you a +4 ED to damage rolls against the target when ramming, and reduces any damage taken from the act of ramming by 2. It also offers a +4 bonus dice to pilot tests when pushing through obstructing terrain. The Adepta Sororitas Rhino. Finally we get to the chassis that all the other entries are made from, the Rhino. Rhinos have been the long staple choice of transportation in the Imperium since anyone can remember, and it's worth noting that this entry is for Sisters specifically, and the Astartes have their own entry, though the differences are minimal. The base Rhino can carry 12 people in total, 1 pilot, 1 crew and 10 passengers in the back, and comes armed with a Stormbolter. It can, just like the other entries, be upgraded to carry a hunter-killer missile, and just like the aforementioned tanks, comes with a smoke launcher as standard. The hunter-killer missile is a pretty strong missile launcher, really designed to take out a single foe, with the brutal keyword and a whopping 19 damage. Also, the smoke launcher found on all of these aforementioned vehicles is a 6 grenade launcher that can be used as a simple action. This reduces visibility by 2 meters whilst in the smoke in a 9 meter radius. Targets obscured by smoke gain +3 defense against shooting attacks and +2 against melee attacks. There are only 2 options to pick from as far as Wargear is concerned, both offering a bit more defense. There's the flare launcher, a 6 flare launcher that can be fired as a simple action. These flares offer cover much like the smoke launcher, however these are not locked to tank vehicles only. They offer a +2 defense against shooting attacks until the end of the following round. Bit of a downgrade from the smoke launcher, and I think these are really only dedicated for lighter vehicles, however there's nothing stopping you taking one. Secondly, there's the Siege Shield, a more powerful dozer blade. As well as the benefits of dozer blade, this shield also offers +3 to the resilience of the vehicle that it's attached to. We've seen the stats, now let's look at the models. First up is the old reliable, the Rhino, and specifically the Sisters Rhino. The first Sister-specific Rhino wheeled its way onto the battlefields with the original Sisters units back in 2nd edition, receiving its upgraded model in 3rd edition. This model, like so many other Sisters models, would remain unchanged until 8th edition, which can be seen here. This is the current model and comes with an abundance of paraphernalia with which to adorn your Rhino. Here is the Immolator, launched alongside the 2nd edition Rhino as an optional build. It saw an upgrade parallel to the Rhino in 3rd edition, seen here, and then gained a more iconic 8th edition model we see today. Next we have the Exorcist, first introduced in the 3rd edition as a metal upgrade to the Rhino. This beautiful model to me is the embodiment of the Sisters theme, with a pulpit and a pipe organ launchers. It did have a Forge World variant known as the Sanctorum pattern at one point, which you can see here. This model also upgraded to a completely plastic kit in 8th edition and looks excellent, and is a must-have for any Sisters army as a centrepiece unit, or if you're like me, you'll have 3. The Repressor is unfortunately a discontinued model that was sold by Forge World. This model was a Rhino chassis with a dozer blade on the front and portholes on the top, and were actually very popular amongst Sisters players because of their ability to be shot out of. The final entry on this list is the newest tank in the Sisters arsenal, the Castigator. This tank variant sports a turret fitted to the Rhino chassis and 2 heavy bolters on either side. The kit looks absolutely amazing and comes with a bunch of adornments.